Wow, there you are, Lucy. How are you? It's very, very good to see you, and thanks for coming on to Soft Skills Conversations. I like to call this informal but informative conversation. This is where I just get together with a friend and we talk about anything that comes up. And, let's just have a conversation. And I have here Lucy Macridis. Lucy is a friend of mine. And I'm just going to allow you to introduce yourself to the audience, Lucy.
Thank you so much, Christine. Thank you so much. It's great to be here. My name, of course, as you know, is Lucy Macridis, and I am the founder of ELEMCEE Consultancy. I am an expert in helping women get unstuck and onto their true potential through unlocking their limiting beliefs. I am a certified coach. I'm a mentor. I'm an online facilitator, Christine.
Okay.
This is what I do. This is what I do every day.
Wow, this is very interesting. Now you have to talk to me like a small child. When you say unstuck, what does that mean? What does that mean?
Well, Christine, as we go through our daily lives, we realize there's some sort of messaging that comes through. For instance, you could be trying to do something. You've set your mind to do something, but there's something that's holding you back. And when you pay attention to whatever it is that's holding you back, it could be a statement like, you are not good enough. You're not good enough. So this is what is basically blocking you from doing what you've set out to do. You hear so much about know your why, your purpose, and you say, that is something I can do. But when you set out to do it, there's something that blocks you. So this is what I set out to do as a life coach. I set out to unlock that. I call that limiting beliefs.
Wow. Okay. You've said a few things there that I'll need clarity on. Okay, maybe we go back to the beginning. Let's back up a little. Okay. Who is Lucy and how did you get to this work?
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, Lucy, my background is hospitality. So for those people who know me, I'm synonymous with hospitality. I have been in this industry for 30 years plus. Once I graduated from Utali College, and I grew my career in hospitality. And I grew to the level of a director of sales and marketing in one of the 5-star hotels in Nairobi. And with this came a lot of great opportunities to grow myself, not only myself, but to grow other women. And why was I growing other women? Because in this path of mine to where I was going, I did not even know where I was going. Life just happened for me because there were women along the way who were holding my hand, who were showing me the way. They saw the potential in me. I did not see it. I just went through life. I loved working with people. I love working with people. I love teaching. I love mentoring. And these women who I was reporting to saw that in my different roles, and they helped me get to where I was. And as a result, along this path, I realized that I was doing it subconsciously. I wasn't consciously picking out a woman in a team that I was leading and growing her. It was just happening naturally because it was something that had actually been conditioned in me without knowing. All this was unbeknown to me, Christine. That was what was beautiful about it, that my aha moment, when it came, I got hit over the head like, you've been doing this for such a long time. So the Lucy that you see before you has been rethought, re-strategized, realigned, because when COVID happened, Christine, hospitality came down to its knees. It was brought down to its knees. From one day where I had a consultancy, that I had an account that I was running, I was starting up an event center that was going to be amazing with state-of-the-art equipment, to signing that contract, to 1.5 months, COVID is announced, and suddenly I had nothing. I had nothing to go to because, of course, there was nobody traveling, there was nobody collecting in spaces. And when this happened, I had to consider that this chaos in my life had come and just disrupted my entire journey. You know, you're that car and you're driving at top speed and you're enjoying the drive. Can you imagine? And then suddenly you get something like, I don't know, a blown radiator or a burst tire.
You come to a screeching halt. Boop.
You know, and that's what COVID did to me. It just, and
I can relate with that. I can completely relate with that. That's a long story for another day. I can totally relate with that.
Well, if
telling
it was
someone
a
that
dog,
this is an industry that understands me, there's someone who would understand me, it would be a hotelier, because business did not get slow, business did not dive, business vanished. It went to zero. So I can understand that.
and you know, Christine, if it was a dog that was crossing the road, I see it coming. I did not see COVID coming. COVID happened. And when it happened, it disrupted my life totally. Or shall I put it this way? Because now I know. You see, that time I did not know. But it disrupted my journey. I was on this journey. And therefore, I had to rethink it. I was shaken. My purpose, my why, my vision, I was now no longer confident. I had lost it. I have always considered myself a confident person. And whatever situation you put me in, I would know how to come out. I believed in crisis management, but I hadn't prepared for this. And therefore, my true potential, that thing that I was going for, suddenly all this was so shaken and it was tested, Christine. And so where am I coming from? I'm coming from hospitality. Where am I today? I have reinvented myself. Am I going back to hospitality? A resounding yes, because if you draw blood from my vein, it's just
will be hospitality.
Hospitality.
Oh, that's interesting. Now, you had said earlier that you help women, and I've understood. I was going to ask you why women, and you've clarified that quite nicely. I'm wondering, when you said unstuck, would you say that you were stuck then, that you yourself had to get unstuck, and now you help others to get unstuck? Is that what we are saying here?
Yes, you couldn't have put it perfect, you know. In my situation, one of my biggest limiting beliefs is the fear of failure. That is my biggest limiting belief. And this presents itself in the behavior of procrastination. Now, people who know me are going to say, oh no, Lucy does not procrastinate. She gets an idea and she jumps up and she goes for it. But what people do not realize is that my personality trait is that I am an introvert. And introverts, much as we enjoy our own, what do I say, company, and we like to keep to ourselves, we tend to overthink things. We tend to want to, you know, cross the T's, dot the I's, make sure there's a comma somewhere. I'm the kind of person, you send me a report, that's the first thing I'm doing. I'm busy trying to see, have you dotted your I's, crossed your T's? Is there a comma? Does it read well? I overthink things, Christine. You know, I even overthink things to the point where I sabotage myself. And so this is who I am. I am an introvert. And I step up and I am present to you because this is what is expected of me right now. I've perfected the art of moving from an introvert to an extrovert when it is needed. Now, these are the skills and the tools that we unlock and that we give ladies out there. So you've got the fear of failure, if I use myself as an example. And I found that this fear of failure, I went to a life coach actually. And through sessions, I found that my fear of failure came from an early time in my life. It was such an aha moment. I was moved to tears because that place apparently was still raw, but I'd managed to hide it. I'd managed to cover it. And she unlocked it for me. And when I say she unlocked it, does not mean that I still do not procrastinate or have the fear of failure. I just have tools now that help me to work through it. So once we identified that, and she said to me, you know, how do you feel now that you know? Because when you're going through a life coaching session, it's not answers that you're being given by the life coach. The life coach is revealing to you things that you had already put down there and kind of covered them. And so that is where the unlocking, they're getting you unstuck. helps. And when she did that for me, and that was literally when COVID had hit, and I was down for about 3 weeks, I suddenly felt alive, like I had another lease of life. And the Lucy that people know came back, came back. And that's why I say my journey was actually challenged at this point. I had to rethink it, re-strategize. I realized that my why was still the same. I wanted to help people and identify it was women that I still wanted to help. And now my potential that I was waiting out there just to be, that potential was just waiting for me to go and claim it. I now realized it is in my those limiting beliefs. And you know what, Christine, the aha moment that I had is I have lived this. I started to see all these limiting beliefs that I'm imagining a car when you're being taught how to drive a car and you're trying to avoid all these little obstructions on the road. So those were my limiting beliefs as I was going about them. And I rediscovered myself, Christine. I did.
Okay.
And that is
Like
why
you
I'm
are
coming
navigating yourself through all of this
these
tunnels.
limiting beliefs.
Yes, you have to navigate to try and get to where you're going. My goodness, you're dropping. One of my teachers likes to call them golden nuggets. You're just dropping nuggets on me. Toof, 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 toof. I'm trying to write down what to ask next. Then you drop another nugget. Let me back up a little now. You said, and I'm going to go into life coaching because I need to understand what life coach is. But before we get there, you said something about you're an introvert, but you managed to get yourself to become an extrovert. You might want to break that down for me a little because I'm thinking I would have thought that introvert, extrovert is your personality type that's inborn. It doesn't change. Walk me through that. Can I change into an introvert? Can I change into an extrovert? What does that look like?
Well, depending on the environment and the tools that you have. As I mentioned, I have grown into the industry, and the positions that I grew into, I needed to be present. I needed to come to the party ready as a party player. That means I needed to be able to stand before people and speak. I needed to have my pretext. That means I needed to be ready with the content that is coming from research. And therefore, when I deliver it, I needed to deliver with a sense of confidence. And for an introvert predominantly enjoys their own company. And therefore, when you are in a situation where there are very many people, you tend to be the person in the corner, the person who is sitting and saying, don't call me, don't call me, don't look at me. So you're not making eye contact. It's not that you don't know what is being spoken about or the subject matter, but you are there to enjoy the experience only. You're not going to share what it is that you have. And yet you could be the most qualified person in that room. But your personality trait is I'm learning, do not pick up on me, because if you pick on me, I'm going to go quiet. I won't have the words coming out. I'm going to choke. And these are the fears that come with being an introvert. So
Okay.
I have learned over time that I can use that opportunity by being prepared. Remember, introverts are very good at overthinking things. So before I walk into a situation, I have thought of every possible outcome. I know it sounds like it's a headache, like, why don't you just live life simply, Lucy? And now I have reached a point where I do live life simply because I mastered it. I now know when I walk into a scenario, and perhaps let's talk about this. Perhaps I have walked into a bridal shower and I am one of the moms. Yeah. Before I walked in, I already thought of the possibilities. And I know that I may have an opportunity to give some golden nuggets. So as I'm driving there, it's just going through my head, what would you say if you were asked to say something? So you already prepare yourself. An introvert always is prepared. An extrovert, when they walk into a social setting, they are pumped. It's like they're high on a drug. They are inhaling this highness that they bring with them. They are the party, the life of the party, and they speak. And it's not so much what they're speaking about, but it is a confidence that they bring out that actually opens the door for them. giving them time now to deliver the content. So as an introvert, I mastered it. And because of practicing over and over, and not practicing in a conscious way, but my job did not allow me a moment to remember that I'm an introvert. So I would step up, I would be present. And because it's something you're doing all the time, it becomes second nature. But catch me in a new setting. If you catch me in a new setting, I'm the one who's sitting, and do not make eye contact with me, please, because I do not want to step up and be able to speak. However, if you do, because I have managed these skill set of switching from an introvert to an extrovert, I will step up. I will say something. I most probably know nothing about the content. I've not done my homework. But I will come out and be able to give you something to think about, and actually be confident to say I was not ready for this. But anyway, it's something, food for thought. I will say something, Christine. Before, I would be like, no, it's okay, pick on somebody else. So now I don't lose
So
the
it's
opportunity.
like you've grown into your own skin. You've come into yourself, so to speak. You've sort of come into yourself. So then, to answer the question directly, so it is possible to move from being an introvert to become an extrovert.
And
or maybe ask this another way. Why do you want to become an extrovert? If you're an introvert, are you not able then to just live your life that way? Because you're shedding some positive light on each personality trait. There is the benefit of there's the plus side to being extroverted, and there's also the plus to being an introvert. So why do I want to move from one to the other?
Let me give you an example.
Yes, please.
In life, you show up for different things. So today you may be showing up as the host of this broadcast, and therefore you need to pull in all your, shall I say, your tools of knowing whether to ask me a closed question, an open question, conversational question. Those are the tools that you are going to use today as you're there as a host. However, when you're off camera, perhaps you're taking a phone call, and that phone call is a friend of yours who is sharing with you some news that is not so good. So you are now wearing your empathetic hat. You're not the same person who was on this show hosting it. You are now a listener. You're taking in those aspects of being someone listening with empathy, because this other person, on the other hand, just wants you to listen to them. And that is what you're exercising. In the same breath, Christine, you may be having a situation at home with teenagers, and you need to put on that hat of authority, that hat of understanding where this person is coming from, but again, aligning with the principles that are happening at home. How do we operate in this home? So you may end up also getting to a point of emotionally driving yourself to speak to these teenagers on their level, but to maintain your position as a parent. So those are three things that you've done, Christine, yet you are the same person. But in your moment, if I was to say, like, my friend always says, if I wake you up at 3 a.m. in the morning, what is the primary reaction that you will have? That is when I know what personality you are. Are you the person who wants to get up and rush and do it? Or are you the person who wants to sit back and think about it?
Think through it, yes.
Think through it. Now, if you're an introvert, you want to think through it. And remember here, I'm generalizing because there's a science to it, Christine, that goes deeper into introvert, extrovert, and how you can mesh the two. But an introvert thinks things through. An extrovert is bam, out of the gates. Let's do this. We'll think of consequences tomorrow. We don't ask for permission. We do. That's an extrovert. Can you relate to that?
I almost raised my hand. That's
and yet there's a moment where you will want to be an introvert, and you will find yourself, that is the moment you've decided it's a learning moment.
So all of us will oscillate from one end to the other depending on the situation and circumstance.
This is why I'm saying I'm very careful to say about the moving from one end to the other. It depends on the environment and the circumstances.
Okay. Makes a lot of sense. Now, you mentioned something about women, and that you primarily target women. And I'm just wondering if any man is listening to this, are you then saying that you don't offer your services to men at all?
Oh, I do. I do
Okay.
offer my services to men.
Mm.
However, I will be very quick to say that from a point of understanding limiting beliefs, my expertise is on women.
Okay.
That's my
Okay.
expertise. So if I had a man who contacted me on whatever social media platform and he needed to go through my sessions, which are 6 sessions, this particular sessions that I would go out would be the introductory, understanding exactly what it is he's going through, identifying it. I would apply the tools. Although I'm one of those people, Christine, and remember, I'm an introvert, I get right into it and I really want to be part of this goal setting and what you want to do at the end. So if it is a man, I will step up further and start pulling in my partners to help the man.
Ah, okay. So you do have partners with whom you work who might be better suited to meet specific needs of someone who might not fit your particular box. All right. That makes a lot of sense. Now you referred to 6 steps that you go through. Do you want to break those down for me?
Okay, so when going through the life coaching sessions, I do them in 6
Or let's
sessions.
do this. Let's do this. Like I said, you might want to talk to me like a small child. Just let's back all the way up and tell me what life coaching is exactly, because there are some concepts that I find or that I used to think were rather abstract, like they're not quite for our African culture. Because, for example, I did not understand, I did not think I would ever need, I never understood counseling until, and I always say this, and I'm thankful to her forever. When my marriage broke down, a friend of mine actually forced counseling on me. She showed up in my house and told me, this is what we are doing because you're useless to your children until you get yourself together. Now that I will always remember her and thank her for that. Now I put life coaching in that box as well, things I don't quite understand. So now talking to me like a really small child, what is life coaching, who needs life coaching, and what does life coaching look like? So that we go into your 6 steps and everything, let's first of all broadly describe what is life coaching, how do I know I need life coaching, who needs it, from the basics.
Okay, so let us start first just understanding life coaching and mentorship, because those are the two things that get thrown around and can get very confusing.
Yes.
So let me start with mentorship.
Mm-hmm.
Mentorship is that kind of relationship with someone that you want. So you're the one who is going out and seeking this person. And you're saying, I want to grow in my marketing. I want to strengthen my marketing, or I want to strengthen my career. And I have seen that it is Christine who I want to be able to just sit at her feet. That is mentorship now. So the mentee is looking for you, the mentor, and is asking you, do you have time? Can you sit with me and walk me through it? Because now I am doing this. I just want to be able to pull on your experience so that I can get stronger and perhaps reach where you are sometime. This relationship has got to be, for both of you, it's got to be amicable, in that me as a mentee, I'm asking you, I'm very specific what I want. And you, the mentor, are accepting, because both of us have responsibilities. And these responsibilities will take us not even a year or 2 years. It could be 20 years. You will hear people saying, oh, that is my mentor. Because they're always, at the feet of this person learning. It's like it's a guru, and you're learning from them. And as you're learning from them, you're able to share your progress. That is mentorship, and that is being a mentor. Now, this particular...
That is me asking you to hold my hand.
Yes.
I'm trying to go where you've already gone, and I'm telling you, Lucy, hold my hand. That's a mentor.
That's a mentor. That's somebody who's
clear.
Walked that path,
And now hold my hand. Okay. That's clear. Now let's move on to a life coach? What's a life coach?
Now, a life coach is like a doctor of a situation. So
Okay.
a life coach is nothing medical. So if you are coming in and you have a challenge of needing counseling, like the way you needed counseling and be known to you, that is not life coaching. That is a totally different thing. You went through your counseling, there was an issue there, and that was handled. That is totally different. It's like it's clinical. It's different. Life coach. And when I say this very gently, anybody can be a life coach. Because a life coach is me sitting next to you, Christine, and you saying, oh, I am having challenges being able to carry through just a specific task. And now we start having conversations. So as a life coach, I am asking you questions. I do not have the answers, Christine, the way a mentor will have the answers. I am actually just digging deep within you and helping you get to the aha moment. I am helping you to reintroduce yourself to you because you have the answers, Christine. You know what you're supposed to do in a certain situation. But there's something that is holding you back. You need to come face to face with it. And then there's setting of goals. When we start setting goals, the responsibility is fully on you. As a life coach, I am just holding, shall I say, the like when you're in a swimming gala and everybody's got their lanes. I'm the one who's just holding us within that lane because this is what you said you wanted to achieve. So I am keeping you in the lane with accountability. I am asking you to do certain things. For instance, if you are saying that you have a challenge speaking to people. So you have a challenge speaking with people and you want to be able, when you go out into public, that you can actually pick up a conversation with people. So one of the things that I would say is to you, once we've identified what your limiting beliefs are, why you're afraid to do this, once we've got that out of the way, I give you an exercise like, before we meet again, Christine, I would love for you to just start a conversation with 3 people in one day. And then note down exactly what it is that you feel. What does your body feel? Because with life coaching, it is from within. What will your body feel? So when you come back, have you done the assignment? That's number 1. Because you doing the assignment means you have bought in, you want this life coaching. If you haven't done the assignment, that is already a red flag for me that there's another underlying issue. So let's go the positive way and let's say that you've actually done the assignment. We now break down exactly how you felt. And as we are breaking down, it's me asking questions again. So how did that make you feel, Christine? And then you start speaking to me. And I go into the 5 whys. Oh, it made me feel uncomfortable. Why? Because when I went up to the person, they were not looking at me, so I felt they were not acknowledging me. I'm writing it down. Fear of rejection. Why did you feel that, Christine? Why did you feel that they were not acknowledging you? It was in their body language. They were looking the other way, or they were on the phone, or they were making an order. It was in a restaurant. Okay. And what makes you feel? Why does that make you feel that they were not paying attention to you? I go into 5 whys. Because by the end of the 5th why, you are actually now telling us the real reason. You may start telling me
uncovering different levels. You're questioning the answer, and every answer I give you question lower and lower, so that you're getting to the core, to the crux of where my challenges are. Are those the ones you're calling the limiting beliefs?
Yes, those are the ones. That is where now we are unpacking the limiting beliefs. Remember, maybe in our first session, you told me why you've come here. So now as a life coach,
why I've come there is I have a fear of speaking in public.
Exactly.
I've been promoted to this management position. I'm very afraid. I'll have to be speaking in public, I'll have to be making presentations. That's what brought me to you. But now you are questioning the answer 5 levels of why, and you're coming up with something like what, for example? What will be found at the core?
It could be, it was really about fear of rejection. It could easily be that, because I want to imagine, and now this is just a scenario that we're using hypothetically, that this individual will say to me, well, when I was growing up, if I would be speaking to my father and he wasn't looking at me, I would know that is not the time to speak. I would wait for my father to look me in the eye and give me all his attention. So most of the time, my father never looked me in the eye, never gave me all his attention. Instead, he put me down and said, you see, I'm busy. What you're going to say, is it very important? Now, all this is what Lucy, as a life coach, is unpacking in this individual. And that is a moment where we just go silent, because there are moments in life coaching that you just go silent because we need to process. You, the person who's being coached, need to process because you have arrived to a certain reality. If I can say at this moment that limiting beliefs are fundamental assumptions, just fundamental assumptions that we have made about ourselves, about other people, and about the world. So we have made an assumption, this individual has made an assumption that if I am to stand up in public and speak, if I am to speak even in a board meeting, if people are not looking at me, I am being rejected. I am being a nuisance. Now, do you see where it came from, Christine? It came from one particular incident in her life or in his life that was repeated over and over and over. So it became an integral assumption in their subconscious. So until they deal with it.
The default, it's in the background, whatever it is they're thinking on the surface, that belief is underlying.
Yes.
Ah.
Yes. So this is what your limiting beliefs are. And they are formed over time. And when they are formed over time, and you know, like how you say it takes 21 days to form a habit. There is an American biologist called Bruce Lipton. If you look him up, there's one particular belief that he subscribes to. And he really believes that it's very scientific. I'd love for you to look it up. His name is Bruce Lipton. And he's an American biologist. Now, Bruce Lipton says that 95% of our behavior as adults, 95% of our behavior as adults, now our subconscious behavior as adults was formed in our first formative years, which could be 7 years. Formed at that time. So whatever it is that I do right now in my subconscious, like my girlfriend would say, when you're woken up at 3 a.m. in the morning, that thing that you do without thinking is a kind of a hypnosis, or in the theta mind, in that mind that was created in your first 7 years. And then you're asked, he asks you further that in the first 7 years, what happens? A child really they're a clean slate. They've got nothing in their mind. What they do is watch and learn, Christine. And that's why we're told in a child's formative years, that is the time when we start to draw on this canvas and create a future in the mind for this child. This is where your beliefs come in. And if you remember, in one aspect, I had said in the family, what are the principles in a family? This is when you're sitting at the table. There's so many things to learn, Christine. You're sitting at the table at home, you're having a meal, and your mom is saying this, your dad is saying this, your brother is saying this, your sister is saying this, and you're just absorbing. You're just absorbing. And tomorrow, when you go for a sleepover, and people do something different from what you do at home, you say, that's not what we do at home. Or you say, that is not right. It's not done like that. Where is that information coming from? It is that thing that was done repeatedly over time. And if you allow me, Christine, just to take this limiting beliefs even a bit further. So you are seated at the table, and there's this child who is playful, creative. And for you as a parent, you are really getting really annoyed with the way this child is playing out. And you keep on telling them, you are somebody who is disobedient, you are disrespectful, you are not listening. And you keep on repeating this in their mind. Christine, I'm telling you, as an adult, this individual is going to come up with, anyway, I'm disobedient, I am disrespectful, I, anyway, don't listen to people. Now imagine this individual is in a relationship, whether with a friend, with a significant other, or in a workplace. And now we get into a heated argument. The first thing of defense, first line of defense, anyway, I don't listen to people, I am disrespectful, that is how I am. Who told you that is how you are? So you come to a life coach because perhaps in your appraisal system, the company has said, we've got a set of life coaches and we would like you guys to go through 6 sessions with them, because that's what they offer, so that we can be able to bring your best to optimize, so you don't keep on feeling that you can't do this. So by the time this person comes to me and I go into my whys, Christine, and I unpeel that onion, I will get back to that point where this adult, as a child, was told over and over again. So this is where I was asking if you just allow me to take us through there. The one that I'm finding as a life coach, the challenge that I'm finding is people are not aware that they have these limiting beliefs.
Actually, I was just going to ask, how do I identify that I have a limiting belief?
Well, to identify that you have a limiting belief is actually a process. And you had asked me a question before about who I am and how I came to be and why am I doing this. During this time of COVID and understanding that now I do have limiting beliefs, I came up with Awakening Self. And Awakening Self is an 8-part journey to introduce yourself to yourself. Awakening Self. It's an 8-part journey. It introduces you to yourself so that you can know about these limiting beliefs that are there in your life and how they affect you. They affect your decisions in what it is that you do. And I'm coming from a place where I have walked it myself. I have seen the aha moments. And Christine, I'm not perfect. I am still walking this path. But I want to share it with people that this is something normal to have limiting beliefs. And we go back to Bruce Lipton. Bruce Lipton, he suggests that we can actually reprogram our limiting beliefs. Reprogram. So it's not all gloom and doom and gloom, just because I am that person who feels that I have fear of failure or I cannot step up in front of a crowd. So I have to identify what my why, my purpose is first. What is it that I want to do? And that is when those limiting beliefs will start coming up. I will start getting things like, you're not good enough. Because limiting beliefs are in the negative connotation. They're not in the positive connotation.
Yes, of course. That's why they would limit you, right?
That is why they would limit you. So when you start knowing what your purpose is, your vision, remember I said that when the chaos happened, it disrupted my journey, my vision, and my potential. But I realized that my vision, my why was still the same. I now have to change tracks. My journey, I move from one lane to another lane because I'm still going for my vision. It's still the same.
Yes.
The same destination, only that now I'm not using the super highway. I've got to use maybe these back routes, but I'm still getting there. It's going to take longer, but I'm getting there so that I can get to my full potential. And this is when I start coming across my limiting beliefs. I start listening to my inner critic. This is very important. This is where you need a life coach. Because when you listen to that inner critic, it can sabotage, it will sabotage you. My procrastination from my fear of failure was sabotaging me in the first few months of COVID. Until I came face to face with it. And then I knew, You're coming in. And I started speaking. In fact, in one of my presentations, I call it Kamutu. Kamutu, loosely translated, is that small person.
The little person, yes.
The little person. So Kamutu comes into my head whenever I want to transcend to another level. I become comfortable with what I'm doing. Then I want to transcend. Kamutu comes. And Kamutu comes with his relatives. Oh, yes. And this is what I take you through in the awakening self. Kamutu, what do you do when Kamutu comes?
So that I can recognize Kamutu when Kamutu comes into play. I can hear that little voice in my head telling me, don't start today, let's start tomorrow, but you failed the last time. All these little conversations going on in my head are the Kamutu talking to me.
Exactly. And then now you know that you use that Kamutu voice as an opportunity to transcend. Do not be afraid of the inner critic, Christine. Okay. Because that inner critic is telling you it's time to change tracks. You have now mastered where you are. It's time to get to another level.
Move on up. You have mastered this level. Move to the next.
That is why a life coach session and a mentorship session are different. A life coach session is about one specific challenge. Once we are done, that is done and dusted, we've put it away. The next time you come to me as a life coach, it's about something else. Because you have already transcended from the last time. You now have Kamutu coming in, telling you something else. So when you're looking at a life coach takes you through seasons in your life. A mentor takes you through that season of life.
Let me be sure that I get this. You had used the analogy of a swimming gala. Now, the swimming coach is who, and the swimming coach doesn't get wet. Swimming coach stands out at the pool and tells me, get in. I know this from learning how to swim. My coach did not get in the water. But if I did everything he told me to do, I swam. Okay? Yes. So coach stands outside the pool and tells me, Christine, hold the pole. Christine, lift your legs. Christine, float on the water. Lie down on the... Now, that's a coach. And my part is to do it. You pointed out that I have to have done what you told me to do. I wrote here in capital letters, do. And I put an exclamation mark. So if I am doing what you're telling me to do, I am floating. Let's stay with swimming. Okay? Now, you're saying that a life coach addresses only one area. So are we saying that if I come back, if you have taught me how to float, and now I come back, are we learning a different stroke, or we are learning, or we are picking speed with the fast swimming, or staying with the analogy of swimming? How does, because you just said that next time I come to the coach, we are doing a totally different thing. I'm just trying to get clarity on that.
Remember, I started out by saying I am a doctor,
yes.
But it's nothing to do with clinical.
Yes.
You come to me
because I'm addressing a specific pain.
Exactly. Okay. Now, when you come to me because you're addressing a specific pain, if we've never worked together, I am still going to go through the processes of trying to understand exactly why you hold this true.
That's the diagnosis, right? You're trying to diagnose my problem.
Exactly. So I diagnose it and I say to you, okay, now we've understood. This is what we are coming to do. And we're in agreement. So it is that one thing we are coming to do.
So because you're the doctor, I'm coming to you with a symptom, and my symptom is this: I am afraid to speak in public. Now, you uncover the layers using the whys to get to what is at the bottom, what is the limiting belief, and maybe it's because I was rejected by my parents, I became this shy, closed-in person, so I'm not able to express myself.
Yes.
So the job of the life coach is to identify the root behind my symptoms so that then we are able to cure it from the root.
Not identify, but to help you identify.
Okay. I'm the one who the answers are with me. You're not bringing any prescriptions. You're digging within me to remove what limiting beliefs are covering my potential. Is that it?
That is it.
Okay.
That is it. So I am helping you to unearth it. That is why I'm saying I'm introducing you to yourself. Because as I ask you...
You're introducing me to the self I'm not seeing when I look in the mirror.
There you go. There you go.
Okay. Wow. Okay, I finally understand what life coaching does. And you said you do this on 6 levels. If I come to you, we then have 6 sessions. Is that it?
We have 6 sessions because 6 sessions are the minimum that we can work through with all the assignments that you're given to go back and try. And remember, I said I'm going to take the assumption of a positive client, somebody who actually carries out the
Somebody who will
assignment.
do what you're asking them to do. Yes.
Exactly. And
Okay.
Christine, one of the beautiful, fulfilling moments of a life coach that I have gone through is from meeting somebody the first time. And remember, since I have been doing it, yeah, and I meet this person, and when I do the middle session, I already now are asking you deeper questions, and I'm taking you back to our first session. By the time we are graduating on our 6th session, you are a totally different person. And I tell you, Christine, this makes me sleep so much better because there's so much that a life coach hears. And a life coach has got to be able to detach themselves because these stories are coming at you and you need to keep them in the lane, that lane of swimming, because then it is easy for them to digress.
Okay, to meander all over the pool. Yes.
We came to discuss about confidence. We came to discuss about self-doubt. We came to discuss whatever it is. So we are keeping ourselves. That art of keeping somebody within those lanes.
Okay.
Is an art that is very fulfilling at the end when you see this person coming to you and saying, wow, I hadn't thought that I had it in me. I can see it. I now have the tool. And next time when this Kamutu comes, I will be able to deal with Kamutu because it's not, how do I say, doesn't mean that now because we've gone through the life coaching, this will not happen again. It just means now you are equipped with the tools to manage yourself.
Okay.
To manage yourself. So you have expectations. I'm going to start up. I have decided I'm going to build up on the relationship with my children. Kamutu starts to come up. But you haven't been there before, Lucy. You are an absentee parent.
You don't know how to do this. Your children don't have time for you anymore.
Your children don't have time. They've created another parent somewhere else, somebody that they speak to. You are prepared. You know that's what's going to come to your head. Now you're walking into this room with the children. Perhaps you've put up certain parameters, like you've informed them, you've put a proper setting of where you understand that now they will be able to share with you. Whatever it is that works for you, you are actually putting into action whatever it is that you feel now are your tools, that you feel are your tools. What works for me, Christine, doesn't work for you. Our environments are totally different. And remember, I gave you the example of that child sitting at the table and the things they do in their home, the other house does not do. Does not mean one of them is right or wrong. It just means
the different ways that the family does things.
Exactly, different ways. So what works for me in unlocking my limiting beliefs may not work for you.
Wow.
When I'm executing it, it's all on a personal level. That is why the life coach does not have answers for you. They help you
to dig the answers within myself.
Yes, and you find the answers within yourself. And it is very fulfilling for a life coach. And it gets to a point at times where you have to refer your client perhaps to a clinical psychologist, a counselor, to somebody else. These are now the widespread partners that we have to work with as life coaches. So we don't purport to give you answers. We purport to keep you on the journey that you have come to walk. And when we see that there is a challenge of that, we then send you to a professional in a specific field.
Wow. That has been so enlightening, Lucy. That has been so enlightening. A quick question before we wind up. This just came to me as we were speaking. You said you come by a lot of information because by the time we finish our sessions, I'll have told you a lot of things about me. So I'm assuming that there is an agreement on confidentiality when we are going into life coaching. Yes, I have an assurance of confidentiality because I'm assuming that a lot will come up that has to do with my personal life and stuff like that I may not want to hear repeated. But this has been completely awesome. We clearly have to do this again because the hour has rushed by and
Wow, it's already an hour?
Yeah, it is almost. And I'm thinking, wow, I've taken so many notes even as you were speaking. So thank you so much. I'm just wondering, where can we reach you? How is someone able to get in touch with you?
Just before we jump onto that, I just wanted to answer, yes, we do sign a contract.
Okay.
And once you have signed the contract, there's a confidentiality aspect. There's also one other thing that I request you, because in whatever it is you are going through, somebody else can benefit from knowing how to deal. And therefore, I request you whether I can use your case scenario without naming names.
Okay.
Just
Okay.
case
My
scenario. So
identity remains confidential.
exactly, because I do talks every week, and basically I use some of this feedback to help somebody out there, because there's someone who needs to hear this message. And therefore, when they hear, they're like, oh, you mean I'm not alone? You mean somebody else is going through this? You mean I can actually work around this? It's all within me. And therefore, whatever it is that is you are going through, if I could use that example, and once you say yes, that is the only time I use it. So still,
Okay.
confidentiality is exercised. And the second thing that I wanted to say, Christine, if you just allow me just for 2 minutes, is that when we come to unlocking these limiting beliefs, it all starts when you are young. And therefore, I have a program for young girls where I take them through what I call the Lady in Waiting series. And one of the units is about core values. This is the time to grab it when they're that age. When they're that age, they then understand, who am I? They begin to ask themselves that question. Because when you're a teenager, you tend to move with whatever moves you, you know. So
Mm,
somebody once said,
they're very
if you
impressionable.
don't, yes, very impressive. If you don't stand for anything, you will fall. If you don't stand for something, you will fall for
Cool.
anything.
Mm.
And that is the time now that I find very important, because when I was a teenager, I wish people had said this to me, or somebody had come up to me and said this. There's so many things I've had to deal with my limiting beliefs that could have been nipped in the bud.
Arrested, yes. Mm.
Yes, if somebody had approached me as a teenager or as a young adult. So yes, I wanted to say those two things. Thank you for allowing me to say that. I can be found on my Facebook page, LMC Consultancy, which is at Tuesday Talks at 3. That is the handle. At Tuesday Talks at
Don't worry,
3.
I'll put the links below here. I'll put in the information below. I'll put a link to reach her at LMC. You can just say it, but I'll put the link down here so that then they're able to pick it up from
So
there.
the company is LMC Consultancy.
Okay.
My handle there is at Tuesday Talks at 3. And then I have my IG handle, which is at lucy.macridis. And then I have my LinkedIn also, which I will share with Christine, that we can be able to put here for
Yeah, I'll put
everybody.
a link to all the ways in which you can reach Lucy, but I think this has been completely eye-opening, especially for me. Like I said, I did not completely understand what life coaching is about. So thank you so much for taking the time. And even as we wind this up, I like to ask people, what are the 3 things? Just give us 3, what comes to your mind, just 3 clues, hints, ideas in unlocking my limiting beliefs.
Well, number one, you need to know what your purpose is. And by knowing your purpose is asking yourself things like, what do I love doing? Can I do it for free?
Okay.
What kind of passion that I have, you know?
Okay.
And then prepare for it. Once you have this vision in your mind, set out a goal plan. It is when you set out that goal that you will start to have Kamutu visiting you, because that is when you're going to be told, you're going to tell yourself, apart from the people who are speaking to you, you're going to have these limiting beliefs coming to the fore.
Mm.
And identify them, recognize them, give them an audience, because they are the ones that are important in you achieving that goal. So first know your why, put down your goal, and when you're putting down that goal is when those limiting beliefs are going to start coming up. So those are the 3 points. Just list
Thank
down
you
those
so much.
limiting.
I have written them down. Thank you so much, Lucy. I really appreciate your time. This has been a great pleasure, and I'm sure we'll do this again sometime. So, all the best. I will be talking to you again soon.
Thank you so much, Christine.
All right, then have a lovely day.
And you. Bye-bye now.
Bye.